Good morning, folks. Welcome to another daily devotional. I'm going to take you to the Old Testament this morning and to the book of Jonah. In Jonah chapter 2, verses 1 and 2, we read these words, Jonah's own testimony about his own experience when he was inside the fish that had swallowed him. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed, "In my distress, I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From the depths of the grave, I called for help, and you listened to my cry." Here was Jonah in a very, very precarious and dangerous position. He was inside the belly of a great fish that had swallowed him. He knew he had been sinning against God, and he had got the fishermen, the mariners, to throw him overboard. And in the midst of that stormy sea, God had ordained for a fish to come and swallow him. We can't begin to imagine what that experience must have been like. But Jonah was certainly in distress, and who wouldn't be? His circumstances everything was closing in around him. He thought he was going to die. What did he do in that situation? He called out to the Lord. There wasn't much that he could do for himself, but there was one to whom he could turn, and one in whom he could trust, knowing that the one upon whom he called could deliver him. And the wonderful thing is, of course, as we read through that chapter, we discover that Jonah was indeed delivered. God preserved him in the midst of his distress until the time when it was right for him to be delivered from his distress. Brethren, I'm sure that some of you who are listening to this are currently going through a time of distress. Others of you have been there, and some of us will no doubt face such experiences in the days ahead. Distress can come in many different forms and in many different contexts. Distress because of wayward children who we had brought up as best we could as parents, teaching them the ways of God, and they have gone astray. Some of them have gone very far away from God and are into all kinds of things that break our hearts and cause us to weep. Distress as a result perhaps of a broken relationship. Maybe your marriage has broken down. Maybe your husband has left you. Your wife has left you. Very distressing circumstances for those who are in them. Distress perhaps because of someone near and dear to you who is ill. Your mother, your father, your partner in life. And you're distressed because you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Distressed because of the loss of a job, or things being very difficult to manage in daily life. There's all sorts of things that can cause us to feel in distress. What do we do? Well, in practical terms, we have to try and do what we can in those circumstances. But one of the most important things that we are to do is that we turn to God. In my distress, says Jonah, I called to the Lord. Whatever it is that is causing you distress, whatever that burden happens to be, brethren, take it to the Lord. Call out to him. Tell him exactly how you feel. Tell him what you so much desire. Jonah discovered that as he did that, God answered him. He says, from the depths of the grave I called for help, and you listened to my cry. And it might feel as though you're almost down in the depths of the grave. Call out to God. He didn't deliver Jonah immediately. Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days. He experienced distress over a period of time. But that period of distress was going to come to an end, and God was going to deliver him. And it may be that the distress that you are going through, or may have to go through will last longer than you would have wished it to have lasted. But God will keep you and will minister to you and will uphold you while you are going through that distress, and in due course He will deliver you. Be assured of that. In my distress I called to the Lord, and He answered me. Brethren, first and foremost, turn to the Lord. Yes, of course, share your distress with some with whom you are very close, perhaps a fellow believer, perhaps someone in your family, perhaps your pastor. But the first person that you must go to is God. From the depths of the grave I called for help, and you listened to my cry. May God help you in whatever you're facing in your life at this time. Have a good day, folks.